What's happening, ladies and gents? Welcome to another edition of Built by Ollie. Today we're going to be doing this little avocado from Geek Vape. So it really is a spectacular little thing, and you know the reason I wanted it so badly and the reason I want to do a build on because it's so different. Being a Genesis style, you know, obviously that was what they used back in the day, but now it seems to be coming back. There's the Fody, there was that haze dripper tank. So yeah, I want to do a little build on this, also because Willy has been giving me shit. He's been giving me lots of gears. Ollie, where's the video? Where's the video? Where's the video? So this one's for you, my bro. Alright, ladies and gents, this is what we're going to be using for the build. The good old trusty Geek Vape 521 tab, pair of ceramic tweezers, some side snips, a regular flippin' Allen key because my cool tool, this bottom section when you're screwing the posts hits the base and it pisses me off, so we're not going to be using this guy today. I've just got some pliers, but these are those flat ones. I might be using them, I might not. This is a 2636 fused Clapton, just a wire shot that I made earlier. Cotton back conversion 2, pair of scissors, and a 2.5mm screwdriver to wrap my Clapton around. And then obviously, last but not least, the star of the show, the hook. Okay, so first things first, let's wrap this Clapton. I'm just going to move this out of the way. Now, how I like to wrap a Clapton is I'll basically hold it dead straight, okay? So perpendicular to the screwdriver, okay? I'll give myself a little bit of meat because while we're spinning it, what will happen is it'll start moving up that way, okay? Just does that naturally, and then right at the end, that's how we got the pliers. We'll tighten it up nicely. So I'll put the very first bend in, okay, just like that. All right. You'll see it is a little bit stiff, but that's what we're going for, and you just continue to wrap. Now when you're wrapping these, just what the last thing you want to do is actually pull on the wire, because if you pull on the wire, it's going to just strip the Claptons off, okay? And obviously you don't want that, and you're going to have all these horrible gaps and what. So I just actually use the screwdriver just to push the wire around the screwdriver, okay? See, just like that. And we're going to do 6 wraps here because I don't know, 6 wraps is nice. That's what I like. We got 4. There's 5. There's 6. Jeez, I made enough wire for a whole nother coil here. Alright, that's epic. Okay, so there's my 6 wraps. Alright, I'm going to get my clippers. So I'm going to snip that off just right about there. So we got one leg slightly longer than the other. Okay, just like that. Better for easy insertion. Okay. Now also because it's a velocity style deck, it's got that staggered post design. I'm not going to worry about bending any leads out and around and stuff because it's not going into like a 3 or a 4 post design. It's going straight into one of these bad boys. Okay, so let's zoom. Let's get nice and close. Okay, I have opened up all of the posts, all the post screws, but obviously we're not going to be using all of them. We're using the bottom one and the top one. Okay, let's get that guy in there so that it's kind of like that, nice and close to the posts. And then let's get my regular boring old this guy and just turn these post screws in. Okay, and I'm not going to get them at 100% snug. I'm just going to tighten them up just enough so that those coils, that coil doesn't move around or whatever, and tight enough where I can give it a couple of pulls and tugs and stuff, and it doesn't move. And there we have it. 1x fused Clapton installed. With my little 2.5, the same one I wrapped this around on, I'm actually going to just pull and tug on this a little bit. Let's pull it, push it from the other side, give it a push and a pull and a tug. Just you'll see it'll start moving into place. It'll start. There we go. Sure, it's looking a lot better. Okay, so now that I've kind of got it where I want it, I'm going to tighten this bottom lead, tighten the top one. Okay, also the positioning of the coil is important. You want it to be over those holes. Okay, so it kind of needs to be just over those holes, because we're going to take our wicks straight down. They're going to come straight down from here, and then they're going to drop into those holes. So through and down into those holes. Okay, now it's time to straighten this bad boy. Okay, where are all my tweezers? Yeah, they're here. Okay, let's give it a tug. Okay, so even before I fired it, I want to get this thing looking as nice as it can, so that when I actually fire it and start positioning it or whatever, it's mostly done. Okay, so there we go. It's starting to look a bit better, a lot better actually, and we'll give it one more pinch and try and move it into position. For me and these Claptons, it's all about aesthetics. Eh? If they don't look good, then I mean, look, they're going to probably perform the same, but if they're nice and even, they look good and stuff. It just, I don't know, I feel like I get a better vape. So we'll just trim one, trim two, done and done. Okay, let's let's see what it's reading at. 0.29. Okay, it'll probably settle a little bit now when we start firing it. So actually, let me zoom out a little bit for this, so we can kind of see what the resistance sits at. Okay, fire it gently. Pulse, 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 pulse. See, with these fused Claptons, with this flippin' wire, it gets, you know, it's very thin. It's a lot more delicate than the thicker wire. So if you just bang it and you get a hot spot, you could melt those Claptons. But look at that. She's hardly any adjusting. Okay, I've got a little hot spot here that I need to get rid of. I just insert it and I jiggle it and I spin it. Jiggle and spin. Let's see. Oh, that looks golden. Minimal work. Minimal work. Settled at 0.31. Okay, 0.31. That's where we've settled. And yeah, that's it. Now I'm going to have to wait for this to cool down before I can wick it, because this base actually gets pretty warm. So yeah, I'll be back with the wicking now. Okay, so for the wicking, cotton bacon, as I said, version 2.0. What we want to do, because it's okay, obviously because it's a 2.5 mil. Okay, so you don't need a hell of a lot of wick. You don't need like a hell of a lot of wick. You just need, it needs to be tight inside that coil. Well, not tight. You know how you like it. I mean, some people like tight, some people like loose. I like it kind of in between. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grip a piece of cotton, okay, that'll fit through that, because we actually, what's going to end up happening is we're going to be cutting this. We're going to be cutting it down quite a bit. So that's my little piece of cotton. I actually think that might be too much, but we'll check it now. Just roll it in my fingers like this, okay, until I get my my worm or my tube or whatever you want to call it. Okay, let's tighten the one end. Alright, and then insert. Yeah, that's actually perfect. Shoo. Thought I was going to have a little bit too much there. Okay, so that's the wicking situation. Now, where I like to cut it, I'm going to zoom in for this. Where I like to cut it is I actually take this piece of wick. Oh, that's maybe a little bit too close. There we go. I'll take this piece of wick, okay, and I'll measure. So this is obviously the base of the wick over here. That's the bottom of the well, okay, right there. You don't now, because it's obviously leaning over here. It's not. It's going to be. If you say you cut it here, it's going to go a little bit lower into the tank. So that's exactly where I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it about there. Get this little bit. Okay. So now, if I hang it down, you see it's around about that length over there, and that's perfect. Okay, you could maybe get away with a little bit longer than that, or maybe a little bit shorter, but I mean that's kind of roughly where you want it. Alright, I'm going to do the other side. Okay, let's just hang this wick down, find out where we want to snip it, and snip it about there. So now I've got two equal lengths of cotton. Okay, so once I've got that far, I'm going to bring this out. I just want to fluff it up a bit. Okay, I am going to actually zoom out a bit because then you can see a little bit better what I'm doing. Now, because of these two holes, okay, obviously that's where you need to wick it. Well, that's where the juice is going to be coming up. Now, I think those are 4mm holes, so they are nice and big. But if the wick is still too tight in there, that hole is going to act like a collar, and it's actually going to restrict the juice flow. And right at that point, it's going to go and it's going to squeeze down on your cotton. Okay, so you want your cotton to be nice and loose in here. So when I do it, I basically, you'll see what I'm going to do now. I'm going to chop this in half. We're going to hang it in here, but it's not going to be tight. It's not going to fill the whole hole. It's going to fill most of the hole, and there's going to be a little bit of a gap, because that's obviously, you need your air to be able to go in there, into the tank, so that you can, like a normal tank, it wicks, it bubbles, the air moves through, the juice moves out. Similar principle. So yeah, let's get to it. So what I do is I spread that wick out, okay, just until it's nice and it's all basically where I can see where it is. Then I'm going to go directly in half, but I'm going to chop this at an angle, because obviously you don't want to cut it through the wick, through the coil. You're going to cut it at an angle like this, so that by the time you get to the end here, it's going to come out in front of the coil. Okay, so you're going to have essentially more wick here than you're going to have dangling into the tank. Alright, let me do the other one and show you. Okay, so there's my wick, all nice and flattened out, and I'm just going to chop it till there. So now I've got half the amount of wick here, but I've still got almost essentially the same amount of wick around the coil. In my head, that tells me that you're actually going to be able to hold a little bit more liquid at the top while it wicks up. I don't know if it works, I don't know, but I mean, I don't know if that's how it works, but I know that it works because I haven't had a flippin' dry hits on this thing at all. Okay, so let me just check the thickness of this wick again. Yeah, that seems to have actually pulled a little bit of this off here. Pull a little bit of this off. No, yeah, we're all good. So now I'm going to just take my little tweezers, okay, and I'm going to pop them straight into those holes. This one, straight into the hole. Okay. Then I'll bring the hook tool, and I just want to actually move these down properly into there so that they are. Now I know it's a frosted glass. I should have actually changed this back to the clear glass for this video, but I didn't feel like it because I actually really like this frosted glass. I think it goes, but I mean, you can kind of see what happens now when this is wet. Okay, it's gonna add more weight, and these are gonna come further down. They're gonna hang almost right at the bottom. Okay, just another tip. This can be a little bit of a bitch. Okay, if you have too little cotton and there's not enough in here, this thing is gonna gurgle and spit and all sorts of shit. If you've got too much wick, obviously it's not going to pull the juice up. It's going to get restricted at those holes. It's going to act as a collar, and you're not going to be able to get, it's not going to wick properly, so you're going to get dry hits. So you're just going to have to play around and get the happy medium. If you use this, say 2.5 with a nice decent sized coil, alright, and you chop it in half with the same amount of cotton as I use or whatever, you won't have a problem. Yeah, also another thing I wanted to touch on is the reason I do a single coil in this tank is because if you don't have a syringe, it is a bitch to fill. Alright, us oaks that use these, we use these normal glass dropper bottles, okay, like this over here. Alright, it's got this, to be able to get this dropper bottle, or this dropper, like through the cotton and back and to fill, to fill this tank, you got all these pieces of wick hanging down, and it acts as a wall and it blocks it. So you have to kind of use every single nook and cranny to try and fill. Irritates the shit out of me. Okay, I don't have time for that, so I use it in single coil mode. I use that little ceramic. Where's my ceramic? There it is. Yeah. So I'll use this little ceramic piece. Okay, this little guy over here. It blocks off the holes. It's got a little air hole on the other side, and I pop it in there because, you know what, quite honestly, the airflow is fantastic on this. And if you've got a nice big single coil in here, then you know what, you're going to get decent clouds, you're going to get awesome flavor, and yeah, I don't see the point of actually, with a nice big fat coil like this, obviously, I don't see the point of having a dual coil, and it also just makes life easier. So yeah, I'm gonna fill this guy up, and yeah, we'll go back up top and I'll tell you what I think and have a vape and what and all that stuff, and you know the drill. Okay, here we are, rocking it on the little Asmodus Minikin. I think this just looks incredible, such a cool little setup, and I'm rocking it with a bit of Paulie's pistachio. Love the stuff. And yeah, let's have a quick, I haven't had a vape yet, so let's just see if this thing's wicked properly. Oh, check those clouds, 35 watts, 0.32 ohm, single coil. Check these clouds. Oh, decent, highly decent. Listen, I tell you what, this Avo, if your oaks want flavor, this thing is on point for flavor. Even in with this little single coil, obviously with a dual coil, you're going to have both of these airflow slots open, okay, wide open. You can pump the wattage all the way up. I mean, I had this thing with a dual fuse Clapton setup. The first build I did in it at 70 watts, and this thing it was keeping up. It was wicking. Obviously, juice whore of note. It goes through juice like you can't believe. It's probably just because of the wicking style, but oh, the flavor is so good in this. Love it. Love it. Alright guys, so yeah, thanks for watching, thanks for coming back this week, and sorry I've been missing for a while, MIA. I was sick, and then I was in Durban, and I was jolling, and then yeah, so anyway, times now, we got a couple of good couple of videos coming up. So yeah, stay tuned, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.